there, this is Dr. Moriarty, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use the variables that we use in my class. So I'm going to open up Visual Studio and start a new project again. Call this variables. Right-click on Source Files, add a new item, C++ file. Okay. Let's start with the basics. Pound include IOStream using namespace st. So this is the input-output library we're going to use. There are others besides this, but this is the one we're going to stick with to begin with. And then using namespace is, where'd it go? Is kind of like a cheat code. It's going to let some of the tools inside IOStream work with a little less typing. How that works is a little beyond the scope of my first semester class, so we're just going to leave it at that. Int main is the starting point of your program. Every program needs it if it's going to run on its own. Great. Now, the main types of variables that we're going to use in my class are these. You've got int, and let's actually give it a name right away. So let's say something like int gold. Char is a letter. Color. Okay. Bool. Big. And int char, bool, and let's use double. Double might be something like health. Okay. So these are the variable types, and then these are just some names I gave it. You could have named it anything you wanted. You generally want to name things for what they represent in your game. So don't call it gold unless it's actually the gold in your game. And what we just did here is we just declared 4 variables of different types here. Okay? Now I'm going to initialize So let's go ahead and set gold to be 20. Let's have the color be blue, B for blue. Now be careful, whenever you work with chars, you have to have those single quotes around it. Okay. Big is going to be true. And then finally, health is going to be, let's say it's 50.5, whatever that means in this game. So hopefully by putting some values in here, you can kind of see what these different variables hold. So int is short for integer, and it's going to hold whole numbers. They can be positive, they can be negative, and they can be fairly big. Char is short for character, and it's going to hold letters or symbols. And it can actually hold numbers, but those numbers are going to be seen by the computer as characters. Okay, so you don't want to add them together. Bool is short for Boolean, and it's going to hold either true or false. It's the smallest of all the variable types. And in computer science, true is a 1 and 0 is false. So it's going to hold a 1 or a 0 or a true or a false. And then finally, double we're going to use for either really big numbers or decimals. Okay. Integers don't hold those decimals. You can see here that 50.5 wouldn't work in that integer. Great. All right, so we have declared 4 variables. That means that we set it up in memory. And then we've initialized them, meaning we actually put something in them. And now let's print it out to the user. So let's use some more cout statements. So I'm going to say, welcome. Is that adventurer right? I think that's close. Welcome adventurer. I think that's actually wrong now that I look at it. Okay. I'm going to have to go back and fix that. You have, okay. And now check this out. I'm going to put the variable in its own little set of arrow brackets here. So I'm going to say gold. And be careful with your spaces. You do need this leading space because otherwise you're going to have that number squished right next to it. We don't need space there. Okay. You have a tunic that is and it's going to look kind of weird because it's just going to say B, but you guys know that that means blue. We'll talk about strings. Whoa. We'll talk about strings later on, and strings are how you can put full words into your game. But we're going to just start with single characters, not so we don't overcomplicate things right now. Let's put this as a question. Are you big? And what I'm thinking about here is like in Mario Brothers, how you can be big or small. And then finally, your health is health. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. Control F5. Oh, and then we need to go over here to keep that screen open. So I'm going to go down to Properties, Linker, System, Subsystem, Console. All right, let's try that one more time. Great, welcome adventurer. You have 20 gold. You have a tunic that is B for blue. Are you big? 1 means yes. Your health is 50.5. Okay. So we actually are able to print some variable information to the screen now. Now when you change this here, of course, the output, let's bump our gold up to 200. And you can see right away that it changes in the output too, which is pretty cool. Now in a real game, these variables are going to change on the fly, and then also they're going to be used for things. Like you're never going to, most games don't print out like, are you big, true? No, you're going to check and see what this variable is, and based on that, the game's going to be doing different things. And we'll start looking at some of those cool tricks in our next video. Until then, happy coding!